Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to like, subscribe, follow wherever you listen to us so you don't miss any episodes or bonus stuff that we do. I'm Sandra.
I'm Karlee, and it's another one, y'all. You seem to really enjoy the last fact versus fiction that we did, where I basically yelled at y'all for an hour about safe anal sex and lube. And y'all seem fairly on board. So we thought we'd have another go. So this is Fact versus Fiction number 2, Electric Boogaloo. To be named. We don't have a name yet. I thought we had a name, but then Sandra was like, no, I'm waiting for something to come organically. I'm still procrastinating, by the way. I've been putting off recording this for like a good half. No, it's fine. So
I just need to say, to start, Karlee did a tremendous amount of research about this topic because they were very understanding about my absolute not giving a under hooty wuddy about what the heck this is and why it's such a big deal in what I think I've seen in fan fiction, and being one that I didn't really know that this was a thing.
You're reading the wrong fan fiction, mate.
No, but I just didn't know this was a thing. So once I came across it, I was like, Karlee?
She did come to me. I had various ideas, and again, because I tend to read predominantly male fan fiction, my ideas were mostly centered around male sex, anal sex, things like that. And she was like, oh wait, I have one. What is the deal? Like some really like shitty old American comedy. What is the deal with airline food? You know, what is the deal with this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, do you want me to put that on the list? And she went, yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
I have questions. So we put it on the list, and we agreed this was going to be the next one we did. And I sat around and panicked for about 3 days, and then texted her and went, I need questions because I don't know what you don't know. Help me.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandra very helpfully supplied various different questions about various different topics to give me something to actually talk about instead of just me going, I don't know. So there, Fact versus Fiction, number 2, episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. This week, squirting, female ejaculation, whatever you want to call it. And those are 2 different things. We'll get into that in a minute. But let's just go with squirting first and foremost. So, a couple of disclaimers. Disclaimer 1. This phenomenon is exclusive to people with vaginas and female reproductive systems and organs. However, we are fully inclusive here, and y'all know I'm one of them. Just because you might have female reproductive organs, you might own a vagina, you might own it very reluctantly. That does not make you a woman. It is not a symbol of womanhood, no matter what wizard Karen wants you to fucking think. Okay? So I will try my best to use gender neutral terms, assigned female at birth, AFAB, things like that. I'm not trying to trigger anybody. You know, there are plenty of trans men that own these organs and would be capable of doing this if they so chose. There are plenty of AFAB non-binary people, you know, gender fluid people. Owning these organs does not make you a woman, and I am not out here saying that they do. Okay, so I'm going to try and be gender neutral, but you know, I've worked all week. I'm tired. If the occasional woman slips through, please forgive me. You know that's not what I think or how I feel. Okay. Disclaimer the second. I am not a sex expert. I've tried repeatedly to pass the exam, but it just won't let me. So this is for entertainment purposes only, or if you're coming to get some ideas for some smutty porn that you might want to write. Mm-hmm. It is not intended in any way to replace actual, real medical advice. If you have any concerns about your intimate health, no matter what your genital configuration may or may not be, seek help from a professional doctor. I am not a doctor. This is not intended to be legitimate medical advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. Okay. Sandra made me put that one in. I was only going to do a disclaimer about AFAB things. And she was like, I put this in the description
Karlee,
of the last one, but
after we had that whole discussion about anal lube and you were giving me stories about what people do, it's just better. It's just better. Let's put the disclaimer out.
I don't have any horror stories for this one. I've never heard of this going bad.
Okay.
I'm sure if you give me 5 minutes, I can find
That's
some.
okay.
But I don't. Unfortunately, this particular topic does not lend itself well to eels in your abdominal cavity. Oh no, not thinking of something horrible that I was having a conversation with my husband with the other day. But I'll keep it to myself, and I will tell you, Sandra, when we are done.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, all that out of the way. Now, let's start at the beginning. I've always found that to be the best. What does it mean to squirt? So, this is taken directly from a website that I've probably linked further down. So, this is a direct quote. Squirting, a sexual phenomenon where someone expels liquid from their genitals during pleasure. Now, again, this is only something that you can do if you have AFAB genitals. If you have assigned male at birth genitals, that's just called ejaculation. You can't do anything fancy with that. I mean, you can if you get your prostate involved and stuff, but that's a whole different topic. Okay. This is only something that you can do if you have AFAB genitals. So I'm assuming if you're here, you're probably not like a complete newbie to the topic. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you've just heard about it in weird corners of the internet. But the big question, whenever it comes up with anybody that I have spoken to, try not to, but it does come up in conversation sometimes, or on the wider internet at large, and it was Sandra's first question as well. Sorry, I said I wouldn't out you, but this one was...
That's fine. I'm all about being outed when it comes to this stuff.
You weren't the first person to ask me this question, because I asked another friend of mine. I was like, I'm gonna this. Do you have questions? But we had a discussion about this from a fic that we both read. And that was their immediate, it's just. So the big question that always comes up around squirting, is it just pee? Is it just urine, guys? And that was my other friend's first question, and that was Sandra's first question as well. Is it pee? Okay. Maybe. I can't give you a definitive answer. I'm on several watch lists for my various Google searches now, guys. Maybe. Question mark, shrunky face. Maybe. Okay. So, as with most things relating to female sexuality, and I'm not limiting that just to assigned female at birth reproductive organs, but anything to do with females tends not to be particularly well explored by the medical community. In line with everything else that has to do with an assigned female at birth body, very little research been done on this. Only small studies by small labs, nothing intense, nothing that's making Science Weekly or whatever, Science Monthly, Quarter. There's a scientific fucking journal. I can't remember how often it comes out. There is one. So what I found, now I'm on several watch lists, is, right, lab tests have been done with various different women with varying different results. Okay. Some of those tests have come back to say the fluid that is expelled is 100% urine. Some of those tests come back saying it's urine mixed with other things. Some come back saying it's no urine present at all. So it seems to be dependent on the person, which is really unhelpful. I appreciate. So I can't tell you, is it pee, is it not? Definitively, don't know. Depends on you. What I can tell you is a lot of these studies would have participants fully empty their bladder beforehand, before starting any kind of stimulation or anything like that, okay? And then towards the point of orgasm, would scan the bladder. So they'd empty the bladder, it'd be scanned to be confirmed it's empty. They would scan the bladder again, sort of, towards the point of climax, and the bladder would have refilled. And then scanned a third time after the orgasm, and the bladder would be empty again. So I would say there's, like, just on the basis of that, it points to it being urine. But again, obviously these samples are tested and they come back with differing results dependent on the person. You know?
And depending on how hydrated you are too, like, is your body like fully hydrated, and or are you like dealing with some dehydration issues? And okay,
yeah,
interesting.
So there's no one straight answer, and until we smash the patriarchy and burn down capitalism, I doubt very much there will be. You know, we can't figure out something that happens to pretty much every assigned female at birth person on the planet if they don't
do it,
change things. We don't know what the fuck is going on with menopause. And everybody who owns a uterus, or rather ovaries, goes through that unless you have your ovaries removed or you're taking different hormones, whatever. If you have ovaries, eventually run out of eggs and your body goes, oh shit, no, and freaks out. And we still don't know how to deal with that. So don't count on this being a priority anywhere. Follow up to that question, because maybe this is not the next biggest question that gets asked, but it's certainly one that comes into everybody's mind. But what about porn? Okay? Because if squirting is not something that you actually experience, maybe you've only ever seen it or heard about it in porn, and you think that's how it's supposed to be. It's not, guys. It's not. Okay? Take it from an expert in this one thing. I'm not a doctor. Don't come to me for real medical advice. I don't know, and I'll probably cry at you. Don't do that. If you are watching porn that proclaims to be squirting porn, 99% of it, as women peeing, right? There's no nice way to say that. And it's not accidental, that's conscious, okay? And I will point to two things. If you squirt during sex, it doesn't have that kind of pressure behind it, for a start off. They're peeing, guys. They're peeing. There's no nice way to say it, okay? It doesn't have that kind of pressure behind it. You can't start and stop it like you see in porn. And it doesn't last that long either. You know, think how long it takes to fully empty your bladder, and then transplant that number over the length of time that seems to last in porn, and you'll find the average up is about the same. Okay, so we're just talking about very, very hydrated ladies, or, you know, assigned female at birth people. I'm just saying, because a lot of the squirting porn you see tends to be heterosexual. But, you know, we don't know how these actors identify. So very, very hydrated people consciously peeing 99% of the time. I'm sorry if that's ruined porn for some of you. My bad, but it just is. Okay.
So it's more for the performance. It's more for the performance factor. Yeah. Okay.
It's more for the performance factor. Okay. And I don't know. I just not being a cis male, which is what a good percentage of porn is made for and geared towards. I can't tell you how that comes across. How that
this opens up more questions.
Oh no. Go on. I'll try and answer off the cuff.
No, because I mean, I've heard of, I guess, what, a golden shower? Is that what those are called? Basically, is that like what that is then, or is that something different? Is that like another separate like kink thing?
That's a separate kink.
Okay, all right. Well, that'll be another time.
So it's like I don't know. Excuse me.
It seems like somebody who wants to have a lot of liquid involved in what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's it for that, like for porn purposes. If we're talking about that, like that's what I'm viewing that as. Like, but
I suppose for porn purposes, if you think like, I don't know how common it is in porn films that are made now, but like fake cum being thrown everywhere because you've got an actor who's, you know,
just thinking of the boys.
Maybe this is the fourth scene they've done this week, and they got nothing in the tank. Okay, so they come, and the director decides that that's not enough, and they'll get out the squirty bottle and chuck some more about. Again, I don't know if that's common in porn that's made in 2023, but it used to be common. This is the same kind of thing. You can't necessarily make everybody squirt. We'll get onto that. And even if you can, maybe it's not as dramatic as you want it to be. You know? And I'm specifically thinking of American porn because that, you know, like the like it's not all fake, but like it's like the sounds are really emphasized and fake and things like that.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal. You know, maybe the person could actually do this in real life, but it's not going to be as flashy and dramatic. That makes me think of fucking like LED lights or something. You know, so they're like, okay, how could we fake this? Well, you can't fake that with, you know, a bottle of fake cum. So would you mind peeing on camera? So it's essentially it's the same act as a golden shower, but with a different intent behind it.
Okay.
So does that make a different thing?
It does. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
I guess.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I point back to earlier on. If you see this in porn, that person is very hydrated, so the liquid is as clear as it can possibly be. Yes. Whereas I think if you were looking at like an actual golden shower kink, that probably wouldn't be the case because you want it to be very obvious.
Yeah.
What that liquid is.
That makes a lot of sense also because you definitely need to be really hydrated for that to Yep. And apparently in 2023, that's not healthy anymore. I feel like in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was like you pee clear and like you're super hydrated and that's great. Now doctors are going, you shouldn't be that hydrated. Please stop. You're damaging things. Stop it. So I don't know.
Please. Guys, please. You know, it was like bacon was healthy and then it wasn't healthy and it's irrelevant. Do your own research on whether you should pee clear or not because there's different opinions out there. So, yeah. Is it pee? Maybe. Is it pee in porn? Yes. Is basically how we're going to summarize that.
Okay.
So, next question that was asked to me. Is it really the female version of male ejaculation? Now, obviously female, a certain female at birth. We went through this at the beginning. Maybe. So many of these questions are answered with maybe. So there are schools of thought in this matter, and some of them say that squirting and female ejaculation are two different things, which I didn't know about until I started researching this. So you're feckin' welcome, guys. You're welcome. So, Dr. Adrian Lara, even, who is a real doctor. She's a real doctor. You can go and ask her questions. She exists. She's real. There is a link to any articles and things that I've pulled from. There will be, I will link y'all to my Google document and all the articles and stuff are in there. So you can go and read the bits that I haven't necessarily cherry picked. So Dr. Lara breaks it down thusly. If it's fluid from I probably should have Googled how to pronounce this, skeins, I'm going to assume. Skeins gland?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
So it's spelled Skene. Skeins. Skeins gland. If it's fluid from there, that's female ejaculation. Okay? Female ejaculate has creatine, urea concentration, and contains prostate-specific antigens. And if you're sitting there thinking, assigned female people at birth don't have prostates. No, they don't. But again, the vagina is a mystery to modern medicine because they don't fucking care. So while we don't have prostate, or assigned female at birth people don't have prostates, there's still like some glands and stuff going on in there that might function in similar ways. But we will get onto that in a minute. So female ejaculate, creatine, urea concentration, prostate-specific antigens that serve to protect the urethra. That is their job. And that would be a small amount of milky white fluid. I can't fucking talk. Milky white fluid. This is how Dr. Lara would define female ejaculate. Okay? So, but if it's fluid from the Skenes gland plus urine, she would define that as squirting. So that is a much larger amount of fluid, enough to make the person think maybe they've wet the bed or table, countertop, sofa, carpet, floor, wherever you might be getting it on. Not judging. Wherever you get it on, if this happens, it's a large amount. And the third option is it's just urination during intercourse. It's just straight up pee, and that's called coital incontinence, and you would want to see a doctor about that.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different. So, follow up to that, what is the Skene's gland? First and foremost, I want you all to know Skene is a man that discovered it. That's why it's named that way. That upsets me on a very visceral level. Can we have nothing? Nothing. No. It has to be named after a fucking man. And when I say we, although I do not identify as a woman, I am assigned female at birth. I reluctantly own a vagina, so I'm involved. It upsets me. Okay. So the Skene's gland it's part of, it's two small ducts located along both sides of the urethra, sort of in the front part of the vaginal wall. So if you imagine what like the front face of a vagina looks like, and you have like the actual vaginal opening, and then above that you have the clitoris, and the urethra is in between those two things. And these glands run alongside the urethra. So it's a little face on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's also known as the female prostate, which is coming from where we were a minute ago. The glands aren't actually the same as they are in assigned male at birth people, but there are similarities in them, in that these glands can drain fluid into the urethra in much the same way as the prostate drains fluid into the urethra. In assigned male people at birth, basically because they only have one pipe and everything has to go in there. So, it seems like poor design to me, but all right. So that's basic. That's why it's nicknamed the female prostate, not because it does anything, fabulous and wonderful like the male prostate can, just because it can drain fluid into a pipe. And people who name things, that's enough, apparently. Okay. I don't know what to tell y'all. Okay. So it's also suspected that these glands influence or make up a portion of the female G-spot. We will get onto that a bit further down. I'm saying down because I'm reading from a thing, but it'll just be like later on in the episode for you. The glands are also comprised of the same tissue as the clitoris. I don't want to know how anybody found that out. That upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
So these glands play an important role in sexual health, but also in like urinary health and all that goodness. So as we discussed, they release fluids into the urethra, which helps lubricate it, which is a whole bunch of medical shit that I don't want to think about because it upsets me. And if you don't know what the urethra is, why are you here? First of all, you need to take like about 5 big steps back and start at biology 101. That's the tube that connects your bladder to the outside. That's what you pee through. So go back, catch up, come back to us. We'll wait. It's okay. So it's lubricate the urethra. It is also thought that these glands contain antimicrobial substances which help prevent urinary tract infections. I don't know how good they are at that.
Mm-hmm.
But the rate at which assigned female at birth people tend to contract urinary tract infections, I feel like they should fucking step it up a bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Pro tip for anybody out there, pee after sex.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you think you don't need to, pee anyway. That will help massively. If you're like, why do I always have a UTI? Are you peeing after sex? If you're not, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he washing his dick before sex? If he's not, make him do that.
Mm-hmm.
Make a world of difference in your life. Yay!
Yep.
Sex advice from Karlee. So, another way that it is similar to the assigned male at birth prostate gland, when aroused, it swells up like the clitoris does and helps. No, I don't know. It's just sensation, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But blood rushes to that area and all the things there swell up.
Yeah.
Is basically.
Which is supposedly always a very good thing. You're dealing
allegedly. Allegedly. So we're told. So as the increased blood flow happens and they swell up, these glands secrete mucus-containing fluids, which is honestly the most disgusting string of words anybody's ever put together during sex. Oh, that upsets me. I had a very fucking. You ever read a fic and someone refers to something by a word that makes you visibly Oh,
Can I just say and I understand some people do like this. There's certain descriptions of it that I don't
share with the class.
know.
You can't just be like certain things.
I'm just not a big thing of like when they call it stringy and it's like,
Oh, that's upsetting. Oh, that's grim. No, I don't like that.
Or just like it's still connect. Like I know you and I think we both have a similar thing about like spit and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's not my favorite like description of it. It's fine. It's just like, I don't need to know the consistency of this right now. Like that's something that I need to know about. But some people like that. Some people like those descriptions. That's all fine and all good. I personally not a big fan of that. That's not something I need in explicit details on. So that's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Can I just say we went so vastly different then? And it speaks very much to the type of fanfic that we read. When you read more reader insert things, so you were like descriptions of consistencies of fluids upset me, and I was going to be like, if you call a cock a prick in your fanfic, I'm out. I'm British. A prick is a person. It's not a dick. If I call you a prick,
I've ever read that in something.
Oh no!
Do you get that a lot?
It's not very prevalent in the supernatural fanfic fandom, I will say, but it is prevalent in some of the fandoms that I'm in, and I don't like it.
Okay,
I'm side-eyeing member as well, just so you're all aware. If that's in your fic, I'm not instantly out. I mean, I'm not instantly out with prick unless it's really clangs with what you're trying to write. But if you put member, I'm side-eyeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that's where it gets difficult, because I was gonna say that's where it gets hard. That's what she said. But like, because you don't know how often to reuse a word. And it's like you can only okay, it's just gonna be cock. It's just gonna keep saying cock, gonna say dick. I don't even really like to use penis that much. Like it's just like you just don't, because then it becomes medical. But it's like sometimes different words as there are, like, who's saying whatever word sounds a little bit different. Like, so being conscious of like, how is the sex going? And does that change the way the words being used? Like that kind of stuff. So I don't know. No, but for me, it's just this description of fluid sometimes is just a little, I don't need all that, especially if it gets like I don't like stringy. I don't like
stringy. And can I say, as someone who has, tried to conceive, those are all words that are associated with the consistency of you look for certain things when you're trying to conceive to see if you're ovulating and things like that.
That might be a big thing, like for like breeding kink. Then that might be a thing where, like, if people are reading that, then maybe that's a thing that they're going for.
Maybe.
So again, it's just personal preference. I'm just not a big fan of that kind of stuff.
And on the back of that,
so after secreting mucus containing fluids,
deeply, deeply upsetting. If you were in here and being like, two female voices talking about squirting, I hope you're thoroughly fucking put off now. So as it becomes stimulated, they secrete the ick. Ugh. Which a benefit of that is lubrication during the vaginal intercourse. Whatever you're putting in there, it helps put stuff in there. That's one of the only benefits, in my trans opinion, of owning a vagina. Is it's a nice self-lubricating system. It sorts itself out. But researchers also believe that the fluid excretions from these glands potentially account for female ejaculation as opposed to squirting. So y'all will be pleased to know we've reached the end of the icky science. All right, that's it. I don't think there's any more icky science. I was like, what is it? Where does it come from? Is it pee? Honestly, I just wanted to answer the question of, is it pee? And then that led me down this concentric fucking rabbit hole where I was like, I'm going to need to explain all of this now.
It was very
Because
helpful, Karlee. Thank you. Thank you for
I
doing
can't-
that research.
Well, you can't just go, maybe, and then leave it. I have to be like, okay, well, maybe it's this, and maybe it's that, and maybe it's the other. But that is, if you were tuned off by the icky science talk, it's over now. Now we're into the mental aspect of it, maybe. Might be the right word. So the next question that I was asked, and again, I'm going to out Sandra. Sorry, Sandra.
It's okay.
Why is it such a big deal? Which is a fair question to ask. So, what is the hype? What is the hype, guys? I think a lot of the hype around this is because it's not necessarily something that every person can do. Like, if you have penis, unless there is something, unless there is a medical issue, probably can ejaculate without much difficulty. Obviously, different things and medical and da. But let's just say, like, your average common garden variety human, if they are in possession of functioning testicles and a functioning penis, they can ejaculate, and that's normal. But again, the mysteries of the female body. Fucking hell. Do we know how to make them orgasm? No. Shit. Well, if we don't know how to make them orgasm, how can
Let's
we
make a pee.
How do we know how to make them just fancy one? Figure it out. All right. So I think that's what a lot of the the hype around it comes in. So Sandra, not only was Sandra's question, why is it such a big deal? She had follow-up points to that. So, point the first. What does it stimulate for the receiver? The assigned female at birth person, the vagina owner, however reluctantly, the person that is attempting to achieve this feat. All I can say is it's usually more intense. That's kind of it. It's usually more intense. I suppose I should probably caveat at this point, and again, if you're uncomfortable, Sandra, cut this out. This is something I can do. This is something Sandra can't
I don't
do.
know if I can because
She's never had a go.
Tried it.
Yeah.
So my question, okay, I'm going to throw this in. Is this
Oh God.
typically, and again, I don't know if you know the answer or not. Is this typically something that would occur after you've already orgasmed, say, multiple times? Like, do you have to build up to this? Or is this like would this happen? Can this happen the very first time? Like, is it like is it a multiple session? Like, do you have to do this a few times during one session before this happens? Like, do you have to orgasm before? Do you have to build up to it?
Can I defer that to a point further down for the directly answer?
Yes.
Cracking. So, yeah, balls out. I can do this. God, I hope none of my family are listening to this. So it's more intense.
Okay.
I would hesitate to say more pleasurable, but I do talk about that later. But it's more intense.
Okay.
Does the receiver literally black out? Apparently, this is something that Sandra has read in fics.
Yeah.
And again, Sandra reads much more male, female, heterosexual reader insert fics than I do because, quite simply, I own these genitals. I know how they work. It's boring to me. And secondly, I very much wish I didn't own these genitals. I would like to read things with genitals I wish I owned.
And then you have someone with these genitals that doesn't know.
I have to know everything. It's my curse to bear. I want none of this, and all of it works better than intended. No.
You're just shoving it all at me, right?
Yeah.
Here.
We've now reached the point of the episode where the Yorkshire comes out. Sorry in advance. So, just the receiver, the orgasming person, trying to keep it very gender neutral. Do they literally black out? Lol, no. Is the answer to that. No more than anybody normally blacks out from an orgasm.
Okay.
If you are the kind of person that orgasms so hard, you briefly see God and disconnect from reality, yeah, you might do. But if you're like the rest of us mere mortals that shut your eyes and maybe thank God, no more than anybody would normally black out from an orgasm.
Okay.
So fanfic-centric question. Yay, we love a fanfic-centric question. Why does Dean, specifically Dean, apparently Sam gives zero fucks about this. Why does Dean always feel like he's getting a gold star when he does it?
Oh gosh.
So I would, my guess on this is, again, it's harder to achieve. You know, there's no, I don't want to say there's hard and fast rules for helping an assigned male at birth person achieve orgasm, but there are some tried and tested methods you could fall back on. Usually, a lot of women, or assigned female at birth people, rather, apologies, it's a bit like being handed a puzzle box, and it looks similar on the outside, and maybe the thing that you've tried with the last 5 puzzle boxes work, but maybe this one's just a little bit different. So you gotta, everybody's just got a little bit of a different, there are no tried and tested
There's different
methods.
switches for everybody. Everybody's got a different, not necessarily playbook, but things that your body reacts to differently and things that people do to your body that are different. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I think one of the nice things about sort of talking about this too is that if you're with a partner that you're comfortable with, these kinds of topics can come up and you can discuss, well, have you ever done this before? Have you ever done that before? I just find it interesting that, and I think now, and I'm just talking from like a female perspective of it. I think the whole breaking down porn, and I know this isn't a thing generationally, but generationally for me, I could say probably more often than not, porn was considered when I was a lot younger. It's just a thing that guys watched, and it slowly became more of like, and you get into the male gaze and all of those different things where I think fan fiction, especially I think for me and maybe a lot of other people too, becomes sort of this portal into, these are so many different things that you can experience with a partner, with someone else. And that makes discussions happen, different things like that. So I find that, and I've said this before, I think a lot of what I've read fan fiction stuff is just like giving me like, well, what's that? Well, how does that work? Oh, maybe that's a thing, that might be fun to try or whatever. So, because I think, I don't know, you might think differently about this, Karlee. Porn, and I've, watched my share of it, but it's just not the same to me, because I think fan fiction can be much more about emotion and your brain, and like I need a buildup, you know what I mean? Like I just like not just watch something and there we go. So it's like I have to have, unless it's Dean, then that doesn't matter. I can watch Dean and that'd be a thing. But yeah, it's just having that build up, that connection, and sometimes it just kind of like opens up the floodgates, so to speak. So you kind of like you're experiencing things anew or different, or seeing another option out there. So sorry, ranting, but yeah, that's because I just wouldn't have even thought about anything like that, or even known that was a thing. And I don't know if you would get that question unless, say, it was a partner who knew about it and who then maybe like brought it up because either they like doing it or they've seen it or heard about it or such and such. So it becomes about conversation and comfort with, I think, your sexual partner, to explore that as an opportunity or an option to do. Sorry. Yeah. So even though I could say I haven't, like, I just don't know.
You'd be like, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what I don't know. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But that is kind of the basis for a lot of, from Sandra's perspective, female sexuality. There's nobody seems to care enough to figure it out. Maybe there is some tried and true, tried and tested methods. Maybe there is a few things that if you do this to 97% of assigned female at birth people you encounter, or 100% of people, 97% of them will have an orgasm. Maybe there are them, but nobody seems to be in a rush to find out. So if it's that, I don't want to say difficult, because I feel like that plays into the stereotype that it's a female, a woman problem. And again, not all people that own vaginas are women. I feel like that kind of that plays into that stereotype that it's, you know, it's their problem and men shouldn't have to put any effort in.
Well,
but if it's that difficult, you know, complex, or, you know, just requires slightly more effort to make someone, to make a female, assigned female at birth woman, you know, pick your pronoun or descriptor.
Yeah.
Orgasm normally. Like, it's even harder to make this happen. So if you do, and you're Dean, and you thrive on being told what a good boy you are and what a good job you did, you're going to be like fucking, you know, fist pumping and high-fiving people. Which is, that's kind of...
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like, too, I'm thinking about it in terms of, like, say you've got, I don't know, say you've got an appliance or an electronic device or whatever, right? And you just want to get the basics. You just want to know, how do I get this to do, like, play, record, whatever. But then if you really are interested, you will look at your user's manual, or you will look at the menu, and you will go through the options, and you will find out all the different things that this device can do. So I think it has to do with how interested either you are that owns the device yourself, or say somebody who wants to play with your device and wants to figure out all the different ways and what you can do if I press this button, or I go into this option, or I check this menu out. So yeah, I can see Dean as being very, I want to figure out cover to cover, all the things backwards you could do. And let's see if I push this, what happens here. So I get that. Yeah, I get that part of it. But it just, I've read it just seems like a very much like, just like hooting and hollering, like, yeah, you got this habit. I'm just like, okay.
Just, I don't know how true to life that is, you know, but I mean, something we'll discuss in another one of these episodes is, you know, the propensity for fan fictions to think that refractory periods don't exist. So, you know, that's kind of that one. that is the point of these, you know. I didn't sign up just to yell at y'all about various genital configurations for a while. It is to address, you know, tropes and myths and inaccuracies in fanfic. And while I would say this is not particularly common in the fanfic I read, because everybody's got dicks. But maybe it's more common in Sandra's fanfic, which is why she was like, I just don't fucking get it. I just don't understand what the problem is. She didn't say it with that accent, obviously.
Yeah, I've run across it a couple of times, and I was just curious. Yeah, like in a few fics that I've read. So yeah.
You know, and when there's no face attached to this voice, I'll talk to you all about anything. I don't care. You can't see how red I am. It's fine. So before I get too far down that shame spiral, good God, what am I doing in my life? Not only is it harder to achieve, it's the working theory is that it's not actually possible for everybody to achieve. So this is one of the biggest percentage ranges I've ever seen. But it's estimated between 10 and 54% of people with vaginas, vagina owners, assigned female at birth, people, however you choose to refer to yourself, can squirt, can do this. That seems like a stupidly wide percentage range. You'd be like, yeah,
and I'm assuming
two ears and big toes.
I'm assuming that's like, if we go back to what you were talking about, that's really not just talking about like somebody peeing during sex. That's what like Dr. Adrienne Lara like breaks down as like what that is, like kind of a situation. Like it's a
so
part of it.
I would think that would have to be people, the fluid is not just 100% urine. Like there are other things in it. So you know, we talked about female ejaculate being different, and then squirting being that fluid mixed with urine. And I mean, I suppose there's no real way to get around that, because everything's so interconnected, you know, and the bladder's right there, and it all comes out the same place. I mean, suppose there's always going to be like, if you're putting that much pressure on an area, there's probably going to be a little bit of pee. I don't know. You know? So I would say the actual, when I Googled this, it was referencing squirting. So it wasn't making a distinction between female ejaculation and squirting. It was just squirting. So I would imagine that kind of covers it. Female ejaculation as well. 10 to 54%. That's stupid. That's like saying, I don't know, everybody with brown hair and fucking 5 fingers. I don't know. It seems so wide.
Yeah.
But, if not everybody can do it, and you don't know if you can do it until you try and do it.
Yeah.
The puberty fairy doesn't come and knock on and go, tits for you, and you'll be able to do this. You just have to go out into the world and have a go.
Yeah.
So, mark of achievement. And again, we know that acts of service are 100% one of Dean's love languages. We know that as a sexual partner, he is very much puts his partner above himself. He takes a great deal of pride in leaving a woman satisfied. If we're talking about heterosexual Dean, canon Dean. So, I would say that's probably why he, loses the plot. Yeah. You. Now we're going to get into the, I was going to say nitty-gritty, but I don't think that's the right word. Some of the more practical questions, shall we say. And again, this one comes from Sandra. How do you make it happen? She didn't say it like that. She didn't say it like that. She didn't say it with that accent either. How does one make it happen? Isn't that so much nicer? Imagine in her nice East Coast accent.
How does one make it happen, Karlee?
Nice. That's nice. How does it happen? Right? It was like no H's and others. So, is the only fucking answer I can give y'all. You know the emoji of the person just going minima with the hands. That's the answer.
I use that a lot.
Questions. Yeah. Sorry. So it differs from person to person. So we've established not everyone, even if they own all these parts, is capable of doing this. So says the very minimal amount of research. Maybe there are. Maybe there's some magic thing that if anybody bothered to sit down and look at it for 5 minutes, they'll be like, aha, this one. But we don't know what it is. So some people, one of the most common, if you Google how to do this, it will advise you to do a very specific thing, which actually we did talk about in the last episode of Fact versus Fiction. The way that you are told via Google, or if you watch those how-to porn videos, or there's actually like legitimate how-to videos, I think, that are not porn, but porn adjacent. I don't know. I don't know what to. But they all say, internal stimulation, make a come hither motion with your fingers, stimulate the G-spot, and voila. Okay? Which is very similar to stimulating the prostate if the person is laying on their back. So, just remember, if their tummy's up, you press up. If their tummy's down, you press down. Don't forget that. It's very important to keep reminding you. So, some people do need that internal G-spot stimulation. Some people can do it solely through external stimulation. So, clitoral stimulation, and you can stimulate the G-spot from outside. And I'll get to that in a second. But the best advice I can give you is Google it. Okay? This is, despite how it may seem, not a porn podcast. I'm not here to give actual legitimate pornography sex tips. Okay? Google some shit. If you think, well, this is something I might want to try, have a Google. Have a look about. Right? So, the clitoris G-spot thing. Now, I don't know, Sandra, how familiar you are with your own internal anatomy. I won't put you on the spot. I'm just asking it rhetorically, right? So, you don't have to answer, but think in your head, answer in your head. Do you know what the actual anatomy of a clitoris is outside of the bit that you can see?
Am I supposed to answer?
You can answer and cut it out if you want. There's a picture, that's all.
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
Right, okay. Sandra, see the picture. Fucking cracking. Right. For those of you that may not know, the clitoris is much more just the external bit that you see, in the external genital configuration if you are assigned female at birth. It has various different bits on the inside is the only way I can describe it. It's I don't know. I saw some of it referred to as fucking legs. All right. So I don't know what to tell you. It's got legs. it's got bulbs, it's got a corner in it. There's a fucking lot of shit going on.
There's
right?
a lot. Yep.
Properly loads going on. There is an image. Look at your own shit. What is at your own risk, right? Look at your own risk. So the G-spot is not disconnected from everything. It is just clitoral stimulation from inside instead of outside. That's all it is. Okay. So if you stimulating internally, you're doing the come hither motion, you're just playing with the clit from the other side effectively. So, just put aside any thoughts that you may have that these are two separate things. They're not. It's all one and the same. It's all one and the same. So that being said, so the parts of the clitoris.
You're doing so good, Karlee.
They sort of go around the vaginal opening. So again, it's not just the part that you can see, there's internal things as well. So that being said, external stimulation, you can stimulate parts of the clitoris externally, and just parts of it make up this G-spot thing that everybody keeps harping on about. You can stimulate that externally as well, right? And that's enough for some people. But God, I want to get off this fucking topic. That's enough for some people. So I just try stuff out, okay?
Yes.
Magic wand vibrators, pretty good for doing this. Obviously, anything that's designed, shaped to stimulate a G-spot, also going to be pretty good for this. As with most things sexual, your fingers are always a good bet. You can't usually go wrong with that. But if one were to be trying this on their own, for example, toys are probably going to help you because you're not necessarily going to be able to get the right angles yourself.
And you may not have fingers as big as Sam or Dean.
You also may be cursed with long, wiggly fingers on your assigned female at birth body going, fucking hell, right? Maybe you're looking at a picture of Jensen going, oh, fucking up. Maybe your brain has now gone off on a tangent about twins that you're not going to share with fucking anybody else and move on. I can hear Sandra going, I don't understand that. I can hear it. So,
oh God.
Google, try things out, toys are your friend. Right. Here's a question. This one's from Sandra. This one's not from Sandra. This one's from someone else I asked. And I won't name them in case they don't actually want to be tied to this topic. Is there a different feel between a quote unquote normal, regular orgasm and a squirting orgasm? So I fessed up however many minutes ago it was. I really need some kind of counter, like a timer or something, because I don't know how long it's going for. I fessed up that this is something I can do. So I'm uniquely placed to answer this question, I suppose. In my experience, and this is just my experience, it's not universal, it might not be your experience, it might not be someone else who can do this experience. In my experience, a squirting orgasm peaks and fades very quickly. It's very intense, but it fades off very quickly. And again, I personally don't notice a difference in pleasure. It's a level of intensity. Okay. A traditional orgasm tends to leave me rather with the, you read it in fanfic, like tingly, aftershocky, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Karlee, I have had those.
Yeah, I know you have. I'm talking about fanfiction. Maybe someone is listening to this who's never had an orgasm. You don't know.
Sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
No, I definitely wasn't. I was talking to the wall, actually, and trying to avoid eye contact with anything in this room. If I thought I could get through this with my eyes closed and didn't have to read things.
Yes. But the tingles, the aftershocks, the kind of, the almost like almost like a super sensitive aspect to it as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So that tends not to happen to me if the orgasm is such that squirting occurs. Okay. Again, just me.
Your
not speaking for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My experience. Follow-up question to that. Can you tell if it's going to happen? which comes back to your question earlier on, Sandra, about do you need to build up to it? Is it like an intensity thing?
Mm-hmm.
So again, my answer to this is minima. Shrug emoji. Yay. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I would say this probably differs. This is probably the same for most people sexually. It depends if I'm by myself or if I'm with a partner.
Okay.
If I'm by myself, yes, it has to build up. Yes, there has to be a build up of intensity. No, it doesn't happen right off the bat. But if I'm with a partner, it can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it also depends what I may or may not have been doing, what kind of stimulation may have been involved, you know. So, good God, I hope no families listen to me. I don't need internal stimulation to achieve this. But if there has been internal stimulation, it very much increases the chances that it will happen.
Okay.
In my experience. So, again, it's a lot of the answers to this question is how long's a piece of string? It's different. Again, this is my personal experience. I don't speak for everybody. If I'm by myself, for example, and having a nice time, blah, 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 blah. If a squirting orgasm doesn't happen, I don't feel like I'm done. I don't know what it is or why my brain goes this way, but my brain is like, no, we're not done. No, we're not done. No, we're not done until that happens. And then it's quite happy for me to leave myself alone. Okay. Which can cause some issues because it kind of...
Is it almost like a frustration then too? Like
yes.
an internal frustration of like, you haven't really gotten it. You haven't gotten it all out. You haven't gotten
a little bit, yeah. But also, like, if you were the kind of person, say, who was lying awake with burning eyes at 2 a.m. and you can't sleep and you think, just take the edge off. And you've got a partner in bed with you who is sleeping. You can't just sneakily deal with the problem. There's a fucking process that happens. Like you just have to go empty your bladder. You have to grab a towel. There's a fucking system in place. And sometimes that sleeping partner wakes up and you feel guilty as shit. Sometimes that happens as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's just my personal experience. I would also like to state as well, you can have multiple orgasms and squirt each time.
Okay.
Which I think puts paid to the theory that it's not completely reliant on your bladder and completely urine, because if you empty your bladder, there's nothing there to keep appearing, but keep appearing it fucking does. So you know,
interesting.
That's just and again, these are my experiences. I don't claim to speak for everybody who can do this. Follow-up questions to that. All these questions follow up. Are you impressed? I put them all in an order that went this and this. So, if you've never done this before, if you've only ever heard about it, if by the end of all my icky science and rambling, you're like, well, I think I'll have a go at that. How would one prepare their body for the possibility of this happening? So, point the first, massive flashing neon letters. I'll get some can dancers and everything. Relax. That's the first step. And honestly, that speaks to a lot of sexual acts. Nothing is going to happen if you're stressed or if you're tense. Okay. If you're thinking in your head, I have to achieve this. I have to make this happen. It's not gonna, is it? You know, it's like, have you ever taken the kind of antidepressants that like kill your libido and make things like weird and difficult? Yeah, it's like that. And then you think, God, I just want to get off. I just want to come. And the more you think that, the more your body's like, oh, lol, no. So, relax. Step 1 through 5 is relax. You know, if it happens, that's great. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. You can try again, or maybe you never want to try again. 1 through 5 is relax. Okay? Try different things. As I said, one of the first things that you'll see when you Google this is internal stimulation, come hither motion. And maybe that works for you and that's great, but maybe it doesn't. You know, there are other things you can try. There are other parts of you that you can stimulate that potentially are going to achieve this. So take your Google knowledge, but take your own body knowledge as well, because maybe you actually really fucking hate the feeling of that part of your anatomy being stimulated. And if you're trying to do that to achieve this end, it's going to be awful, isn't it? You're just going to be like, oh, God, I hate it. No.
Yeah.
So, you know yourself best. Take your Google knowledge, take the brief snippets of knowledge I've given you in this insanity, but, temper it with the knowledge of yourself. Try internal and external stimulation. And when I say external stimulation, I'm not necessarily talking about clitoral stimulation. As we discussed, the parts of the clitoris go around the vaginal opening. So try stimulating that area as well. You have more than just two areas. You have more than just your external clitoris and your G-spot. There's plenty of bits down there that can feel great. Just have a mess about, is all I can say. Again, one of the big things you're going to see on Google is it feels like you're going to pee. I have never personally identified with this. It very much does not feel like I'm going to pee, but it's common enough to be on the first pages of Google. So heed that warning, And that leads me perfectly onto my next point. Oh my God, it's almost like I planned this, guys. It's almost like I laid out these fucking bullet points in this order for a reason. How do you get over the squeamishness, the mess aspect of it? Because whichever way you try and put this, it's going to be messy. Okay? As I said, it's 2 a.m. You haven't slept in 36 hours and you think maybe if I just take the edge off, that will help. But you can't just sneakily take the edge off. You have to go get towels and shit. Because if you don't get towels and shit, A, you're going to be sleeping in the wet patch that is significantly larger than a wet patch you would be dealing with after normal intercourse. And B, you're going to have to change bed sheets. So, towels, loads of them, fucking loads. Every towel that you own, if you want, properly load. Blanket the bed in towels. All right? All of them. Okay? Maybe if you're thinking about trying this and you're thinking when would be a good time, if you have a designated day of the week, month, whatever, that you change your bedclothes, maybe do it before that. So it doesn't matter if the bedclothes get wet because you're going to throw them in the washer anyway. Towels, as many towels as you feel comfortable with. If this is something that you heavily get into, you can buy probably for potty training kids and stuff, or just general mattress
protectors. Yeah,
but you can buy those mattress protectors that have the waterproof sheet, to protect your mattress and everything. Puppy pads. That sounds fucking dumb, right? Puppy pads. They're designed to absorb liquid. Just whack one on the bed. Whack two on the bed if you feel so inclined. Anything absorbent. Maybe time this way you're going to change your bed sheets anyway. Anything that's going to make you feel comfortable with the mess aspect. I would also say anything that you absolutely don't want to deal with. So, do you guys have we don't tend to do layers of sheets over here. We have a duvet, but I think that's called a comforter where you are.
No, they call them duvet too. Yeah. Yeah, but duvet comforter.
Yeah. So maybe just shove that off to the side completely. So it's not in any risk,
So you don't have to worry about taking it to a laundromat or something like that because it's too freaking big and it won't fit into your own washer.
Yeah. Big and it won't fit into your washer. We don't. It's very rare that you would wash a duvet. We have duvet covers that you wash.
Yeah, but there are some instances where if a comforter just gets sometimes you just want to wash a comforter because you've had it forever if you don't have a cover. So we've had those situations where you just buy a comforter that doesn't have a cover. It's just the comforter. And
oh no, that's not a thing over here.
Yeah.
Everything has a. No, you would always put a cover on a duvet.
No, so some of the there's comforters fancy looking comforters and stuff. You don't put a duvet on them because they've already got all the fancy stuff on it. So you would you'd have to take that if it doesn't fit into your washer. You'd have to go to take it to the
that on the floor.
Yeah,
if you have a fancy,
take it out of the room
that you don't put a cover on. Kick that over to the other side of the bed or kick it on the floor. You don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, tying right back at the start of this when I was discussing porn, if you see it in porn, it goes fucking everywhere, doesn't it? Properly everywhere, right? I would like you to bear in mind that is a concentrated effort by the performer in question to pee. Peeing has pressure behind it. Squirting doesn't. So, you're not going to be cleaning it off the fucking walls or off the pissing headboard. Do you know how often I see that in male fics as well? Someone jizzes and it hits the fucking wall behind the headboard. No, it freaking doesn't. An argument can be made for the ejaculating person to hit their own chin or chest. But it ain't in the fucking wall behind the headboard, lads. Enough with that, right? Just why is that even sexy? Why is that sexy? That's a mess that needs to be cleaned. Somebody has to scrub the fucking wall now. That's gross. Keep your fluids contained, gentlemen. Keep your fluids contained. Or, penis owners, however reluctantly you might own that penis, keep your fluids contained. Tissues are not hard to come by. Anyway, while you're trying to, if you're struggling with the mess, the squeamishness, oh God, it's going to go everywhere. It's not going to fucking spray out of you like a hose that you've put your thumb over the end of, or like a bottle of champagne. It's not quite like that. So, don't start thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to strip the whole bed or anything like that. But you do I say bed because I assume that's where most people, especially of my age and Sandra's age, that's where we do any sexual activities that we might want to do because, maybe we have children, maybe our backs can't take sofa sex anymore, maybe they're just fucking tired and we want to go to sleep afterwards, whatever.
Yeah.
So you do whatever you need to do to make whatever place you're going to attempt this comfortable. So fuck loads of towels, strip the bed, mattress protector, puppy pads, anything that you want to do that. If you absolutely cannot deal with the bed or sofa or floor or anything else, if the concept of having to potentially clean this up just will not sit right with you, get in the bath. Okay? And the reason that I'm reading off this particular sheet is because Sandra left a beautiful note that was like, this is a better alternative to messing up the bed. Bath or a jacuzzi. Yeah. Get in the bath, get in the jacuzzi, get in the hot tub as long as no one else is with you and you clean it afterwards. But I would say that about fucking in the hot tub anyway. Clean that shit. Sex is icky. What of it, right? So if you just cannot 100%, you're just like, no, my bed is a sacred space. I cannot deal with this. Try it in the tub. Do not forget your lube. What did we say last time, people?
Lube is your friend.
Water is not a good lubricant, right? It's not a good lubricant for butt stuff. It is not a good lubricant. Even if you have a self-lubing system, water messes with that. Get some lube. Get some silicone lube and have a nice time with yourself in the bath, if you so choose. But, if you choose to outfit your bed in all of the towels that you can find at Bed Bath & Beyond / and or Home Bargains, depending on where you are, or B&M, or, wherever one purchases fucking towels, Asda, wherever, right? Carpet your bed in them. Put down a puppy pad, put down 3. Rubber mat, rubber sheet, waterproof sheet on the mattress, whatever. Again, make sure you're relaxed. Because if you feel relaxed that there's not going to be a mess to clean up, that's really going to help you if you get to the, oh God, I'm going to pee stage of the proceedings. You'll be like, it's fine because I've got 17 towels on the bed. I'm in the bath, whatever. So, yeah. And the last question that I have, unless Sandra comes up with any more points now I've yelled in her face for quite some time. How long do you try before you just give up on, oh God, I was going to say water wings. How long do you keep going before you give up on earning your squirting badge or your water wings or whatever? The answer to this, legitimately, I have it on the document. You can check me on this, is how long's a piece of string? Honestly, it depends on the person. You have a go. Maybe you feel like, things felt a bit different. You're going to have another go. You had a go. It didn't happen. You're fucking done with this. It is entirely up to you. What I would say is don't let yourself get frustrated. It's not for however it's portrayed in fanfic, for however it's portrayed in porn, it's not the be all and end all of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I will tell you, front up, it's fucking annoying because it's not something that, if you can do it, it's not necessarily something that you can control. Especially, well, I can't necessarily control it. So I can usually tell if an orgasm is or isn't,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to give up on an orgasm just because it is. That's not what we're about.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's 2 a.m. I haven't slept for fucking 36 hours. I still have to go and get a towel. I can have spontaneous sex with my husband, but if it's anything more than, just a quickie, go get a towel, babe.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating to have to constantly be aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stop spontaneity, but you get bored of saying get a towel. That's all I will say.
Mm-hmm.
So don't put this up on a pedestal as like the ultimate thing that an assigned female at birth person, a vagina owner, the ultimate thing that you can achieve sexually, because it's not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's nice, it's good, it's fun, whatever. But if you find that you can't get there, or it's not working out for you, just call it a day. Don't forcing yourself.
Yeah.
But if anything in this horrendous rant has made you think, oh bloody hell, I think I'll have a crack at that, take my pointers, take Google. But it's like so many things when it comes to female sexuality, it's kind of on you.
Yeah. And that's everybody's sexuality, right? Like, I mean, just in general, you can't go with an ultimate goal in mind when you're attempting intimacy, I think, with, especially like if it's with another person, because I think that stresses both parties out as well, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of reasons why it might not be working. Unfortunately, our brains have a big to do with all of that. If it was just a matter of our bodies, I think it would be a lot easier, but our brains and our emotions and everything else, I think, tend to make it a little more difficult to try to enjoy it, have fun with it. Don't worry about the end result. Go with the flow.
Yes. All of those things, it's the end goal should always be, did I have a good time? Do I feel good? And if you do, great. That's all that matters. So that's the end of my Google Doc. And again, there will be a link in the description to all of my points and references and a very lovely image of what the actual clitoris looks like. It's not vulgar. It's drawn.
No.
I wouldn't say it's safe for work, but it's not. It shouldn't give you the ick.
Yeah.
So, but there are, again, any articles I have pulled from, they are all in there, and all kinds of various fun things. So, unless you have any further questions, any follow-up questions,
don't, Karlee. It's very thorough.
If you want to abandon our working relationship at this point, could you wait until we're off record before you tell me?
I asked you for this. Are you kidding? I was like, you're like, what do we do? I'm like, can we do this, please? So no, I appreciate. And honestly, I think at the very least, if there are listeners that, do write and, want to feel that it's okay to learn a little bit more about a topic, to feel comfortable writing, I think you've probably helped a lot with that as well. So I think that it's art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life, that kind of like, cycle thing where you don't know what you don't know, but you can learn more about what you don't know. And that can only help. So who knows? I may eventually write something. This isn't it. Never know. So. Never know.
Speaking of actually, to haul this all the way back to the original concept of this series, which was inaccuracies, myths, bad tropes in fan fiction. If you did want to do any kind of follow-up reading, and I'm specifically talking about AO3 here, I don't know how it's necessarily tagged on any other websites, but for whatever reason, AO3 does not have a tag for squirting.
Oh.
So if you try and tag something as squirting it will change it to female ejaculation.
Okay.
If you want it to have the actual like squirting tag, you have to kind of manually input that like you would manually input, like Sam Winchester's filthy mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
If you allow AO3 to
that is
auto-complete your tag.
so weird, because I feel like I know they like have people that work behind the scenes to like wrangle tags or whatever and like put them together. I'm sure I can't see how this is not a thing that people have written and they haven't decided we need to make this a tag. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Well, I have one of my fics now, because I think it's the one that if you read my fics, you will see I don't tend to tag it in everything. I only tag it if it's sort of like comes up in the story that squirting is going to be a thing that happens. But you will see what a lot of my female reader insert stories, their orgasms tend to be the same, accompanied with fluid, blah, blah, blah. So you can reference squirting without actually ever referencing squirting. But in my fic, Missing You, which is a Sam Winchester reader insert, it's tagged squirting. Okay. But if I click on it,
it doesn't go. Yeah, it doesn't have like related.
It takes me to the tag female ejaculation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you are, if you wanted to do some further reading on AO3, search for both of those, like in the additional tag search, try squirting. And if you're not necessarily getting one, try female ejaculation, because I don't know why AO3 does that.
Okay.
I don't know. The amount of fucking weird and insane. You can have Sam and Dean Winchester are erotically, whatever that fucking quote is, dependent, blah, 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 blah. You can have that whole quote as a tag, but you can't have square. Or you can, but it won't lead to, it leads somewhere different. Okay. So just,
good to know.
For your information. But yeah, I would never recommend going to fan fiction for actual sexual advice. But if you wanted to, maybe read up, see how other people interpret the subject. This episode is different to the last one, because the last one was like, these are dangerous practices that I have seen. This one is just more, this one's on Sandra. I would never even come, I would never even thought of this. And she was like, I just don't see what the big deal is. What is the fucking big deal? And I was like, well, do you want me to talk about it? And she was like, yes. So this is less of a, dangerous practices and more of a dispelling some myths, maybe. But the fact remains, still fact versus fiction. And hopefully some of you are still with us.
And you can let us know your thoughts about this topic if you so choose. But yeah.
And I will say our Twitter DMs are always open, because I understand that maybe this is not something y'all would want to tweet us about. But if you do have anything you'd like to get in contact with, we will completely respect your anonymity. Please don't worry that we're ever going to publish anybody's name or anything like that. We would never do that anyway. But obviously this is slightly more of a personal topic. So if you did want to reach out to us, we will keep you completely anonymous. We won't be sharing it anywhere or anything like that. So I suppose, where can they reach out to us, Sandra?
Well, they can reach out to us via email at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. As Karlee said, you can reach out to us on Twitter at idlingintheletterdImpala. If you'd like to make your voice a male, check the description for a link and you can send us a voice message. And you can also find links to our personal socials and our AO3 accounts in the description. And don't worry, we'll also leave a link to some of Karlee's stories that contain squirting and female ejaculation.
Oh shit, this is revenge from me bringing Factory Reset into the last one, isn't it?
Not revenge. I appreciate that.
But sweet voice, genuine malice behind things.
No.
I'm kidding.
But then there's also a link, if you so choose, to read about my original fiction, and you can visit my author website. I have no squirting or female ejaculation in any of
Just wait. I've managed to strong arm her into one thing she said she'd never do. Leave it with me, guys. Leave it with me.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God, there's silence from your end, though.
I know what you're talking about. We don't want to let anybody else know yet.
No, that's why I didn't say it out loud. British subtlety are lost on you. Completely lost. We also have a website now. So Too Long Didn't Read. If you don't want to click through all the links and you just want to go to one place and find all the ways to contact us, we have a website. Go to idlingintheimpala.com. You find all our contacts, all our socials, blah, blah, blah. There's merch there. There's YouTube stuff, Spotify stuff, behind the scenes stuff. Eventually we'll get around to uploading the picture of the cat. Leave it with me, guys. Go take a look and send us some feedback. Tell us what you like and what you don't like about our website. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave us a comment wherever you access your podcast, but especially if you are watching or listening on YouTube, because likes, comments, engagements really help us with the YouTube algorithm. All hail its benevolence. And also, at time of recording, we have just hit 50 subscribers on YouTube.
Yay.
Which is a humongous fucking deal. You know, we started this little labor of love mostly for us. We were just like, we just want to talk about Supernatural and maybe people want to listen to it. I'm like, there are 50 of you out there that were like, we want to listen so much. We'll stick around so we know when you start yelling about Supernatural. And that is amazing. So thank you all to our 50 YouTube subscribers. And of course, to our Spotify followers. I think there are 74 of you now.
Yeah.
Which is also
in
endlessly
total,
cool.
from all of the different places where people can listen to our podcast, we're well over 100. From all the different areas. So whether it's Apple or Google Podcasts, we've got a whole bunch of different places that people listen to us, and it's very much appreciated. So yeah, that you guys have it subscribed and listen to our ramblings. It's awesome. So thank you. We're glad we can at the very least entertain you.
Yes, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Yeah. But I handle the YouTube side of things. So I was like, oh fuck, we're at 50 subs. Oh my god. But thank you to everyone who subscribes, who follows, who chooses to stay engaged with us. We appreciate you massively. All the loves from us to you. Thank you for hanging out in the back seat. And like, comment, subscribe, follow, all that good shit. In the description of this video, there will be the current causes that we are championing. Go check them out. If you need them, they're there. If you feel able to help them, that would be freaking sweet. And we will say thank you for joining us in the backseat, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.